Welcome, listeners. This is the one about being your best self, for yourself, for your job, for your friends, and for your loved ones. In this episode, we're going to cover how to find your best look with clothes and hair. We will also cover the stress of dealing with weight loss or gain. In other words, things that affect how you see yourself and how others see you. I'm sure listeners will agree that stressing about being better is not really healthy, but analyzing your reasons for wanting to do so and taking action to improve ourselves is healthy. First of all, ask yourself, who do you want to be your best self for? Now, most people want to improve the way others see them, which certainly is valid. But first, you might want to be your best self for the most important critic, you. Now, if you already feel you are your best self, then acknowledge it and be proud of it. But for the rest of us, I always feel that a ripe fruit gets rotten, whereas a green fruit is still growing. I personally prefer to be green, not ripe. Now, you might be listening and feel you just want to improve on a skill, be it recreational sport or personal activity, social skills or relationships, or even a skill related to work or making money. So where do you begin? How do you start improving yourself? Let's start by being honest with ourselves. Ask yourself, what could I possibly be lacking in order to be better at the thing I want to improve? And then develop a plan of action to getting the knowledge and practice that you need in order to achieve your goals. You have to be committed to putting forth your best effort in sticking to the plan. You can refer to my May 11th lecture on vision boards and creating positive affirmations because that will help. If it is a personal skill, like playing a sport such as tennis, golf, pickleball, or even mastering a game like chess, backgammon, knitting, or Dungeons and Dragons, then seek out the knowledge online or from a friend. In other words, find a source of that knowledge that you need. There are a multitude of videos online and tutorials to teach you most anything you wish to learn if you're just willing to take the time. Best of all, they're free in most cases. Then schedule practice time after you listen to them. If skill requires a partner, find someone willing to play with you knowing that you're still learning. It should be someone that is patient and understanding. The more that you put your new knowledge to the test by actually doing the activity, the more proficient you become. Let's talk about being your best self on the job or in your business. It starts with understanding your company's needs and goals, thus determining where they are headed and how you can help them get there. That way, if you have skills outside your job description, you can offer them on your own time as sort of extra credit in the workplace to show your bosses that you could be more valuable than what you're being paid to do currently. Also try to ascertain what your boss's goals are, and if there's anything beyond your scope that you can do to help them get there. Of course, this means doing your current job, as best as you can. There's lots of online help for that as well. My son, for example, was working for a pharmaceutical company and wanted to be recognized and promoted. He found out they were having some problem with inventory control, mostly with outdated medications that have expired, and didn't really have that organized as to which cities they were coming from and to manage the dates properly so that they could shift them around, recall them in time, place them to get them out in time. And he created a system. He had no knowledge of it at all, but he had to master Excel spreadsheets and had no prior knowledge of it, and he learned on his own. Went online and taught himself Excel, and he created algorithms for them to analyze what part of the country the expired medications were mostly coming from, to make sure that there was a first in, first out inventory control system in their warehouses, and he updated all of that on his own without any prior knowledge. So. He also did demographic studies that helped move which medications were needed in what quantities in different cities to make sure that they didn't have a lot of stock sitting on the shelf that got expired. So all of this got him a raise and noticed for working overtime beyond the scope of his duties. This increased experience and philosophy Actually got him a better job in the future with another company when he was ready to leave there. So beside technical training for a particular skill, there is also management training online if you oversee a group of people. Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is a good start for management theory. It helps you understand the needs of your workers and how to properly motivate them. A good manager needs to know when to use praise and when to correct an employee properly without making them feel smaller or less than they are. If you're in business for yourself, you can still use management theory to get the most out of your managers and workers. If you need expertise to maximize your profits, understand your market share expansion, competitive pricing in different demographics, etc., then hire someone who can get the answers for you. Henry Ford was a brilliant businessman. When a business problem came up, if he didn't know the answer, he knew who to call in his office that would have the answer. He wasn't afraid to hire people that knew more than he did, and that was one of the reasons for his successes. Now let's discuss being your best self when it comes to your friends and loved ones. This means listening to your friends or partner's needs. We were given 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listening is so important. Put yourself in their thought process and try to understand where they're coming from when you're having a discussion. You can always present your thoughts in a logical fashion, yet understand their point of view as well. It makes for less heated discussions. Finding a compromise is sometimes the best tool in keeping friendships, and being there for them when they need to vent shows you to be a loving, caring, and thoughtful individual or partner. Be known as a person who truly cares about how another person is doing or feeling. John Gray and his wife wrote Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, as well as What Your Mother Didn't Tell You and What Your Father Didn't Know. These are great books to understand relationships of any kind. I highly recommend them. And they talk about the fact that your friend or mate sometimes just needs to vent. They don't always want solutions, but they want someone to listen to what they're going through. Sometimes they just need a hug or to be told everything will be okay. Be your best self with them. Be a person who cares about others. Be a communicator as well. If something is bothering you about your mate or your friend, find a way of telling them in a nice, friendly, and positive way. Make sure you first include all the positive things about your friendship or relationship that you appreciate. Then you can mention that when a situation happened, in this particular case, you would have preferred if they had handled it a different way. Of course, when it comes to venting, if a friend is always dumping negativity on you from their life, it may be a little difficult to always be there for them. There's nothing wrong in recommending they talk to a professional if it really gets out of hand. You're a friend, not a therapist. So please refer to my podcast on May 4th about relationships for tips on taking the stress out of communicating with each other. I think you'll find it helpful. Now we're going to cover achieving your best look with clothes, hair, etc. In both cases, there are experts to help you for free. Most stores like Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Neiman Marcus, etc. have stylists available for free to guide you for what looks good on you. They can review your past style from pictures, make recommendations. For hair recommendations, most salons have a book of style for people to look through, and your personal hair cutter can make recommendations from their experience as to what looks good with your face type. Oval-type faces may look better with a different style than round faces, etc. There are apps that you can load on your phone as well that could show you what your face looks like with different hairstyles and even different colors. It's a good way to see how you would look if you changed it. So go online, find the apps, and see. And for women, there's also wig stores. Go in and try on wigs, and you'll get an idea of what you look like with different styles from that. Now, for clothing, you can go into most any department store, pick out something interesting for yourself that you would like to see yourself in, or even different colors that you don't usually wear. Try them on in the fitting room and take pictures of yourself in them without having to buy the clothes. Then show the pics to some of your closest friends and get their opinions before you buy. The stores don't mind. They welcome anyone who is willing to shop at all, even if it's something you're going to buy in the future. Now, you can show the pics to some of your closest friends and get their opinions, but also when you look at it yourself, you'll have an idea as to, how you look like in them, and your opinion matters. Be confident in your decisions. However, sometimes the most interesting patterns and designs are not in the stores, but they're featured on the store's websites only, especially for men. In the case of Robert Graham shirts, the designs that make the most conversation pieces are online only. The good news is that if you have any room in your credit card, you can order the clothes, try them on at home, take pictures in them, and then return them to the store for credit before your payment is due to the credit card company. Shirts that are conversation pieces can be found on brands like Robert Graham, Maceo, which is Maceo, 11 Paris, and even True Religion has some unique designs. I know Macy's used to carry a wonderful graphic T-shirt made by Inc., I-N-C. I think it was made exclusively for them. But for $30 retail and often half price on sale, they had the most incredible gold foil, silver foil, and graphic designs that I've seen on T-shirts for 5 times the price. Now, the good news with these designs, as expensive as they may be, is that most department stores will run sales on all their merchandise, online or in stores, a few times a year. And your stylist will notify you when these are. For example, Neiman Marcus runs up to 75% off twice a year on most of their designer goods, including Louis Vuitton shoes and a lot of clothing brands we mentioned. Nordstrom runs up to 60% off twice a year on their anniversary sale, and Bloomingdale's follows suit. So you don't have to spend a fortune or go to lesser stores like Marshall's and Ross, and I'm not knocking those stores, but you can buy designer goods that are not seconds, which usually those stores carry, but first-run designer goods at 3/4 off or half off. So that makes it affordable for a lot of people to do. Another interesting idea is to go to jewelry stores and take pics of how you look in different rings, necklaces, and watches. Most stores will allow it, especially if you tell them that you would like to get opinions from some of your friends on how you look in those items, and your friends couldn't make it to the store to give you the opinion in person. When you do, treat yourself, when you can, to a piece of jewelry. Try to find something that is special to you, something that makes you smile when you see it and wear it. I saw a pendant, for example, of the Tree of Life, which fascinated me. It was free-floating in a larger setting and reminded me that life is changeable, not necessarily fixed, that we can change our circumstances, and every day is a new day. I had it made into a necklace, and it brings me joy whenever I wear it. Find something meaningful to you whenever you are going to buy a piece of jewelry that brings you joy when you wear it. All of the pictures you take in these exercises can be used on your vision board. You can refer to my podcast on vision boards, which was May 11th, I believe, for further information. Now let's talk about weight loss or weight gain. If you're happy with your body and your blood work shows no health problems, then there's no need to make any changes regardless of what anyone else might think. However, if you want to make a change, then let's look at some things that you can do without causing stress. If you're trying to gain weight, there are healthy ways of doing it. You don't have to gorge yourself on junk food. There are delicious, nutritious foods packed with protein and fiber. Find foods that you like that also have good nutrition panels, and make time to eat more of them, especially healthy snacks that you can carry around in your car and nibble on throughout the day. And try to avoid sugary drinks that put the wrong kind of weight on you. There are lots of healthy drinks that you can go to that are better for you. If you're trying to lose weight, the thought process is a little similar. Write down all the unhealthy foods that you love and eat the most of, and try to find healthy substitutes that will also taste good. They have lots of chips and snacks made with pea protein or chickpeas that have 4 grams of fiber and 4 grams of protein in every ounce, as opposed to potato chips, which have maybe 1. There are many foods with lower fats, lower carbs, and even lower sugar that taste great, and you can try them for free, or without risk, I should say, at stores like Publix, which will take back even open items that you just didn't like the taste or flavor of without any question. I attend the Fancy Food Show every year and the Sweets and Snacks Show, and I can personally vouch that there are chocolates and energy bars and chips that fall into this category that will satisfy your every urge for a sweet or a snack. Substituting healthier foods for fatty foods or sugary foods personally helped me lose weight years ago, from 220 pounds down to 175 pounds, and I have kept it off for a very, very long time. Currently, I'm still there at that weight. And it takes work. First I had to train my mind a little differently. I love sweets. I love M&Ms. So I took a pack of M&Ms, which I used to gulp down. And many of you can relate to this. Take a handful and just gulp it down at a time. But I took a pack and I trained myself to only have 2 a night. To do this, I had to savor each one by slowly sucking and chewing with my eyes closed, each one of the 2, so that my brain and my taste buds felt satisfied. Now, if I want to eat cake, I could take one bite a night and be satisfied and save it for the next day. If I eat it slowly and savor it, I love mac and cheese, but I can only have 1 or 2 bites a day. But by savoring it, my brain is satisfied. My taste buds are satisfied. Most anything can be eaten if you love it and you were willing to only have a taste at a time. Then you can fill up on healthier foods because your taste buds have been satisfied. I love tuna fish, for example, and I used to slap on lots of mayonnaise from my Bumblebee brand, which is a drier tuna in a can. Then I discovered Tonino, which Publix carries, that is packed in a glass jar with olive oil in flavors like garlic or sun-dried tomatoes. Delicious. And it's so tender and tasty, I don't need mayonnaise to make it palatable. So there are ways of achieving, satisfaction to your taste buds without having to pack in all the extra things you put on something. There are seasonings and dressings that are lower fat, lower sugar, that actually taste great. And all you have to do is just try them and return it if you don't like it. Now, there are energy bars like Quest and Atkins, for example, that have 20 grams of protein, even up to 20 grams of fiber, that your taste buds would definitely be satisfied. So why not eat things that are better for your body, especially when you can try them at no risk when you shop at stores that allow returns? Also keep in mind that a lot of stores like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, and even Publix will have sections where they'll have the lower fat or lower sugar or healthier items, protein bars, even some that have sugar, okay, if they have a low amount. But you'll see sections where you can get an idea. And, of course, Googling will pull up a lot of names that you can go search for what stores carry them. Now, also, Publix runs 2-for-1 specials very often on these delicious items that we're talking about. And just a few weeks ago, they had watermelon chunks 2-for-1. I saw that because healthy fruits and veggies are a great substitute, and they often run all kinds of fruits and vegetables on BOGO. And I love watermelon. So I got 2 large, huge, extra large containers of watermelon chunks, and I used them to fill me up for breakfast or for snacks, especially if I knew I was going to have a heavier meal later. And then I'd have a fruit and something lighter, and these watermelon chunks were so good. So keep that in mind if you're looking for something to fill a gap for a period of time. Now, you can also try intermittent fasting, which is not eating after dinner until lunchtime. If you do have 2 heavy meals in a day, try eating lighter the next day. Do alternate days. And these tips are all doable if you just desire to do them and concentrate on making it happen. You can balance a high-calorie meal with eating a delicious fruit or salad the next day, and then go back to eating something that's more savory for you the day after. But you can also make that day tasty if you add things like nuts or raisins or seasonings onto the salads or fruit. So you certainly can make it palatable and interesting. Some time ago, I was listening to a weight loss tape, and something they said struck me funny. They said, what you don't swallow can't put weight on you. And I laughed. In other words, if you have to eat more than a couple of bites of something that you know is going to put a ton of weight on, their suggestion was to spit it out into an empty bottle or something if you're in the privacy of your own home. You certainly can't do that in public. I thought about it, and although I've trained myself to only have a few bites and be happy with it, I can see that some people might not have that self-control and might want to eat a whole plate of mac and cheese or might want to eat several chocolate bars or something and might take advantage of this thinking. So this is not to be confused with unhealthy behavior like throwing up or something, but this is just chewing and being satisfied with the flavor and then spitting it out. I'm not advocating this suggestion, but I heard it and I thought it was worth passing on, mentioning. None of anything I have brought up in this last section is a substitute for exercise. We all know that exercise is important to all aspects of health, not just weight loss. However, I hope that it gives you some ideas on how substitution of healthy foods might work in your favor. Until next time, I remind you all to wake up with a smile. Find something to smile about every morning if possible. I post 300 pictures of sunrises, sunsets, and other amazing photos on my Instagram page, Boca CEO, that's BOCA, CEO, no space. Feel free to browse. I don't do any postings, but I probably will put some video clips of my podcast on there that'll take you to Spotify or Apple Music for each of those particular sessions. Have a wonderful day. Until next time.